Hey, welcome back to the Cellar. So I have this little weird thing I do where if I like a movie, I can literally watch it hundreds of times back to back, like for months without getting sick of it. But there's just some movies that I watch once and I can't do it again. I just can't do it. So today we're going to talk about some of my one and dones. I'll be right back. So recently I've been rewatching a lot of Smile. Like that's a movie that I can watch on repeat. So the first movie on my list that I've watched once and I cannot watch it again is Hereditary. Now, this movie was released in 2018. For those who aren't familiar with it, it's starring Toni Collette, which I love. Now, I'm not saying I can't rewatch this movie again because it was a bad movie or it wasn't done well. No, this movie was done really well and it literally hit me to my core. Like there's certain scenes, like I'm sure you've seen memes on social media, but there's certain scenes that are extremely shocking. But what this movie did to me, I don't like it. I don't like it. And I can't revisit it. It was just like that one and done completely. Again, really a great movie and I own it, which is pretty sick, but I will never watch that movie again. Like maybe in like 5 to 10 years from now, when I forget all the damage that this movie caused me, maybe I'll come back to it. But boy, it was a rough one. Like I felt sick. I felt sick afterwards. And, there's movies that I've seen that, have made me feel like that nauseous, like terrified feeling at the end of it, which is cool. But this, it took me to places I just didn't want. I don't want to revisit. I don't want to go back. Like Evil Dead Rise. And that movie scared me. And I don't get scared often. At the end of it, I felt nauseous. But I was just like, I was in love with that. I was in love with how I felt afterwards. Hereditary, nope. If you haven't seen it though, I do recommend that you watch it once. Like give it a try. A lot of people love this movie and can watch it repeatedly. For me, it's just not one of those for me. Yeah, I can't do it again. I just can't. So, number 2 on my list is the first Hostel. Not both Hostels. It's the first Hostel. I don't know why. But I saw this movie in the theaters and it was just so effed up. And I watched, I went to bed to Saw 5 last night. I don't shy away from gore. I love gore. But there was just something so disturbing about this movie, especially for somebody who loves to travel, who's gone to Europe. It's just scary to think, that places like this exist. And watching this movie was just so disturbing. And I just remember I watched it once. I watched the sequel and I actually really liked the sequel. I watched it a few times actually. So it wasn't like I just watched it once and that, I watched the sequel a bunch of times, but nope. I can't do it again. I just did it once. I don't know why. It just rubs me the wrong way and I can't do it. Number 3 on my list is Human Centipede number 2. Now, I like number 1. I know I'm sick. I'm sick in the head. I do enjoy number 1. Like number 1, it was just such an interesting concept. And it's so gross for you. Those of you who aren't familiar with Human Centipede, it's the 2 girls. I think the car breaks down and they go to this house. It's like this evil mad scientist doing experiments. He kidnaps them. And then he has another man in his basement or in his house and he connects the 3 of them. Now, one is in the front, like her rear end is connected to the next one's mouth, like surgically connected. The middle one and his or her, I can't remember who's in the middle, was connected to the last person. So the first person eats, it goes into the second person who eats it, and then goes into the third person who eats it. It's disturbing. It's a disturbing story, but I can watch the first one over and over and over again. I have no issues with the first one. But the second one was such a vile, disgusting, perverted, traumatic, trigger warning movie. Like there are some scenes in it that it's like, I'm not gonna anything you can imagine that would be a trigger warning in a movie is this movie. It is repulsive. It is repulsive from start to finish. The main character in it, he's repulsive. I don't even like to look at him, pictures of him, because my skin crawls. I will never, this was one, I will never watch this movie again. I'm not even happy I watched this movie. You know, I just, I like want it out of my memory. Like it's probably been years since I've seen it. And there's certain scenes, the car scene when the mom who just gave birth is getting, you remember that scene? Well, if you've seen it, that is like burnt in my brain, seared in my brain, and I cannot get it out. It is disturbing. Not even as like a mother, because I wasn't a mother when I saw it. As a woman, as a human being, it is disturbing on every level. There's just so many things in this film that is just absolutely grotesque. So if you haven't seen Human Centipede, the first one, I recommend it. If you don't get like sick and queasy by movies, and you're okay watching people eat shit, like, then I recommend it. But the second one, I don't recommend. I don't think you should one and done it if you haven't seen it. There's a third one to this film, and it's the jail, and it's in jail, and they literally connect the inmates. That's a lot of fun. It's outrageous. The acting is poor. It is just like insane. If you haven't seen that one, watch that one. But skip number 2. Please don't watch number 2. So don't say I didn't warn you. I warned you. Don't watch it. Number 4 on my list is Dr. Sleep. Now, this one's a little different from the other ones. I watched this one twice. Now, my one and done list is not because these movies are bad. It's just that it has a bad effect on me, and I just really can't, I can't watch it. So, Dr. Sleep. When I first watched it, I was actually pregnant. I saw it in the movie theater. I really loved it. So, for those of you not familiar, this is the sequel to The Shining. So, it's years later with Danny. He's an adult. And I loved it. I was like, okay, this is phenomenal. It was such a good movie. I loved it from start to finish. I loved the characters. What was her name? Rose the Hat? I can't remember her name. It's been a while since I watched it. But the main bad guy, I loved her. I loved her. She was a great bad guy or bad girl, woman. But yeah, it's a really great movie. But then after, when I had kids, I watched it another time. I own it. I watched the unedited version. And it just, like, I was crying like a baby. Like, there's scenes with kids being, you know, unalived. I guess you gotta say unalived nowadays. I don't know. And it was disturbing. I cried. And I don't cry, like, I cry a lot. But, like sad, sappy movies, but I never cry in horror movies, especially when kids die. I never cared. I guess becoming a mother changed all of that for me. It really just softened me up to my core. You know, I'm dark. I'm like a big horror freak, but I am like also soft. I'm a soft mom, and I couldn't even imagine. Like, you just think, like, what if this is my son, you know? Because, little spoiler, it was a little boy. And I have a son, and it was just so sad. I'm like, that's somebody's baby. No. So yeah, that was just, it was rough. So I don't think I can watch it. I really love this movie. Oh my God. And the scene in the beginning, there's a scene with a baby and the mom's doing drugs, and she like ODs. And then, you know, she didn't survive. And, you know, then the baby didn't survive because there's nobody there to take care of the baby. That was so horrible. Like, that hurt my soul. And I know it's just a movie, and I know it's not real, but shit like that happens all the time. And I just don't want to, it's just hard to think about that happening. And movies like that remind you that this shit can really happen. So yeah, that was definitely a rough one for me. Will I watch it again? Maybe down the line when my kids are a little bit bigger. Maybe not. I don't know. It's just such a good movie, but I cry too much. I don't know if I can do it anytime soon. So yeah, that's why it's a 2 and done. You know, not necessarily a 1 and done, like a 2 and done for me. So the last one on my list, and this one movie will forever make me sick. And I'm talking about the remake, because the original has been a while since I saw it. So I don't want to count that in this category. But The Hills Have Eyes remake. Now, I originally saw this movie and I was like, I don't like it. It's not my type of movie. And then I rewatched it recently. It was after work. My kids were sleeping. I'm like, let me put it on and give it a watch. It's been a while. And no, I physically felt nauseous for like 24 hours watching it. And like maybe I'm being dramatic or I don't know, but it just, there's so many scenes that is just so disturbing. And I get why they have it in the movie, but like the whole premise of the Hills Have Eyes films just grossed me out. Like these people that were left in the hills and they have like, you know, the product of radioactivity. I don't know, nuclear. No, I'm sorry. I'm sounding like an idiot. Nuclear bombs. Yeah, radioactivity. I guess it's the same thing, right? I don't know. I'm tired. With nuclear bombs, and they're the result of that. And then they've been forgotten about, and they're like cannibals, and they just want to procreate. And then like there's grape in it. I added the G so I didn't trigger anybody because that's what you're supposed to do nowadays. I don't know. I'm old school, but I'm just trying to be respectful of everybody. So yeah, there's lots of grape in it. I'm not a grape fan, if you get what I'm saying. Even the second one, there's like a really brutal scene. And I enjoy the second one up to those scenes. Those scenes are repulsive. These inbred nuclear baby men making men are repulsive to look at. It just skeeves me. But yeah, there's like the first one, the scene with the trailer and the mom, the new mom, and then it was just a lot. It was a lot. The acting's good, the movie's good. I really enjoyed the cast. But I just cannot do it. It made me sick, and I will never go back to that. Never go back to the first one. Maybe I'll watch the second one in the future, but I will never rewatch the first one ever. It's been a while since I saw the original, so I don't want to count that in my one and done category. I don't remember if it's just as vile. I don't remember. It might be. Remind me down below if it is, so I just don't bother. But yeah, I can't do it. I can't do it. So yeah, that's like top of my list. One and done, will never revisit, is The Hills Have Eyes. Do you guys feel the same way? Is this just certain movies you watch once and you're like, no, I can never go back? And is it just me that watches movies 100 million times back to back? Like I watched Saw last night. I will watch Saw again tonight. I will watch it again the next night. And different Saws, but like with Smile and the menu. I've been legit putting the menu on every single night. Every single night. It's on HBO Max, and it is like such a soothing horror movie. There's something so calming and soothing about it. It's such a phenomenal movie, and I love it on every level. So yeah, that movie I've been literally watching before bed for like, since it's started streaming on HBO Max. Is it just me, or do you guys do that too? I don't know. I know I'm weird, but I like being weird. Thank you guys so much for listening to me talk about these movies. I won't revisit. Comment down below. Let me know if you have anything like that. Just movies you just cannot touch again. And I hope you guys are having a great day. I will be right back.